guys, my name is Georgie and I'm going to be talking to you today about my project which focuses on ways we can make UK agriculture more sustainable for future generations, as well as working towards tackling climate change and hopefully ending global warming. So to start with, I'm going to give you some background information on the United Nations SDGs. These are the Sustainable Development Goals, ways in which we can all work to tackle climate change. So my project focuses on SDG 2, which is the plan to end hunger and promote sustainable agriculture, and arable merchants that collect and deliver the straw also deliver to power stations which heat our homes and other areas of the industry. I have had horses my entire life, so I've relied on farmers to grow and purchase hay and straw for my horses. This year I took part in haymaking for the first time, where I helped to grow, cut and produce hay into bales, as well as delivering and collecting to farmers and also recreational pet owners. Due to having the second wettest winter on record in October 2023, and throughout that there was a knock-on effect into the arable industry where merchants were having to go further afield up and down the country to collect hay and straw to produce to their clientele. My project's overall aim was to look at ways we could reduce our carbon footprint in the UK as individuals, and by stopping importing and exporting in and out of the UK. When I spoke to people, most people would be quite happy if due to cost rises of food in general already, if we could find ways to support farmers more by potentially looking at how we could incorporate farm shops into more town centres, because the key part people were saying was they do want to support farmers in shopping locally at these farm shops, but obviously a supermarket is more accessible currently. Quite a few people were open to potentially taking things such as meat out of their diet in order to help reduce the amount of cattle that we need on beef farms and potentially dairy farms. However, this was obviously a small pool of people who, as diverse as I tried to get it, were prominently from countryside areas and growing up in rural areas. During my last few days of talking to people for this project, in the headlines it was shown that we had managed to produce a calf through IVF that had been genetically modified or changed so that they would not produce as much methane into the atmosphere. Another point I spoke to people about was the changes that we'd made in feeds for cows through the Boava feed supplement that was tried and tested and is now being used throughout the UK. There's currently a lot of misinformation being spread about this. So far there is no known negative side effects towards. However, in terms of ethical reasons, it has been found that in male and female cows that we would be potentially reducing the reproductive system in the cattle. Ovaries may become smaller in the female cows, and obviously for ethical reasons this may be something we need to make more widespread, as a lot of people I spoke to were not happy about this, and I will insert some of my conversations with those people now. Would it bother you if for any reason, be it ethical or not, we genetically change cells in animals to help reduce their effects on climate change? One thing currently being is that vets have found ways to produce calves and offspring of animals that are gonna not impact our climate as greatly in the sense of in the sense of methane and other carbon dioxide and things that they produce?
That's a tricky one, because when human beings start playing God, things can start to go wrong. Is it a good thing? I think animal welfare is probably more important, because again, if you go back to looking at the bigger picture, you can't just pin it all down to animals creating a problem. Human beings create far more of a problem than what animals ever would do.
I'm actually against anything like that. I don't think we should be genetically changing cells in animals. I think there's a lot of talk about the methane that cows produce. I think there are many more things that affect climate change that we need to be addressing first. So for me, I think that's a step too far.
Yeah, so you think that if we potentially looked at supporting our farmers by eating locally and getting our produce locally instead of importing from abroad, and then obviously we'd have less emissions from jets and planes, that would be far better than looking into farming?
100%, yeah.
Thank you very much. While it's not possible for me to share every interview that I had with people, the general gist of conversations was that people would be more than happy to stop as many imports and exports in and out of the UK and eat more seasonally. I would like to have potentially had a chat with supermarkets about what we could have done, but I focused mainly on interviewing the general public. People, once they knew more about how we have done what we've done in terms of IVF and the Boava feed supplement, would actually rather stay away from that when they know the side effects towards the cow. I haven't actually spoke to anyone that knew the side effects towards the animal involved and still said, yes, I would still have the produce. The main thing for me was that people were willing to eat seasonally. I personally looked at my own diet and I do think I could also do that. And it's something I will be mentioning at work, if we could also do that.